what are your main movements in the program right now? And particularly if you could highlight some of your favorite movements or underrated movements that you don't often see people using.
Okay, sure. I have been really giving some thought to exercise selection lately, more than usual, because of two things. One, I'm getting towards the end of my bodybuilding career. I'm going to be 40 in like 6 weeks or something. And I need to understand that the amount of ego that I can put into training has to dwindle to zero or close. And the amount of longevity promoting exercises, let me put that better. Exercises that have a very low probability of giving me a catastrophic injury that subverts my attempt to do bodybuilding as well as I can for the next few years before I retire has to go to 100. So I'm doing a lot more length and partials. I'm doing a lot more higher rep sets. I'm doing a lot more slow eccentrics and deep pauses, not because these things are categorically better. The length and partials are quite interesting in the literature currently and seem to be very effective. And to me, in my own experience, insanely effective. But because I have to get serious about the kind of training that works for me and is ultra safe, even if it's not the sexiest thing in the world. Like, for example, I can hack squat a lot. It's a gift. I've been working on it, but it looks cool. 6 plates, blah, blah, blah. It's awesome, right? But I'm going to be taking my next hack squat workout and going from doing 590 pounds, 6 plates and change, to doing 455. But I'm going to do bottom 2/3 partials, MyoRep style, with 455. And like with that amount of weight, with bottom MyoRep partials, it'll fuck you up.
That's painful.
Big time, right? Nuts. But is it as ego satisfying as full ROM, total lockout, controlled reps with 6 plates? No. But I have to bring my mind to the place where like Israetel, you want championship trophies? You want the best physique you've ever built before you retire? Or do you want to be like, yeah, man, used to fucking do 6.5 plates on the hack squat, brother? Like, that is worthless. And as a young person, as a beginner, as an intermediate, it's insanely worthwhile. Yeah, you should be overhead pressing a fuckload. You should be bent rowing a fuckload. You should be hack squatting a fuckload. That should be your goal as a beginner, intermediate, even early advanced. But as you become more and more advanced and injury reduction becomes a high priority, you have to figure out, how do I rig these exercises and choose exercises in a way that is maximum stimulus, minimum fatigue, and especially injury risk exposure? Is it a sexy way to train? Not really, man. But that's the way that I think works pretty well. So to that end, on hack squats, I'm doing the bottom end partials. I'm going to be re-rigging my leg press to do the same. I'm now doing leg extensions, which is weird for me. Turns out I have never really done them, and thus my rectus femoris is like insanely unimpressive. It basically just disappears in the poses in which it's supposed to pop. And like, no one would ever in the right mind accuse me of having small quads. Like, you've seen the shit on social media, the pictures, the videos are like, dude, your quads are enormous. Like, sweet. Dude, the fuck is the middle of your quad? It just doesn't exist. And so I've been taking the leg extension and sliding the seat back as much as possible and lying back in it so I can pre-stretch the rec fem, and it's been destroying me and making my rec fem sore for fucking days after I do it. So one of my leg days, at the end, I do leg extensions and then kind of a drop set, 2 bodyweight squats to get that little extra bit of burn. Here's the thing. Do I like it? No, I don't fucking like it. I hate leg extensions. Like, it's a mind-sucking exercise. It's the worst, right? Some people love it. No disrespect. It's just, for me, I fucking hate it. Am I going to do it because it's going to make a difference in my physique? Yeah. So that is kind of where I'm going. And I got one more exercise to share, and we can go through and talk about more of them, but I'm going to be putting out YouTube videos on the channel. We are going to be putting out YouTube videos on the channel for this, but the lying dumbbell curl and the lying cable curl for kind of 2 different reasons.
God. Lying dumbbell curls.
Dude, so the lying dumbbell curl is an exercise that, to use the common vernacular, is slept on, but people are sleeping on it because they don't even know it exists. And we're going to make a whole YouTube video about how awesome it is, blah, blah, blah. I just tried doing it recently, and it's just like, oh, this seems like it should work. It blew my biceps the fuck out of the water in just a few sets. I now, for the first time ever, have reliable week on week on week DOMs for 3 days in my biceps. How? Imagine an incline curl. All it is an incline curl, right? And you just take the incline and you put it all the way to flat. So you're just lying down on a bench and you're curling with ultra strict control, you curl beneath the bench to touch the dumbbells gently if you're flexible enough to do this, and if your arms are sufficiently long and the bench isn't too super high up. You go until you either can't go or until you touch the ground with the dumbbells gently, and then come back up. What that does is it does two things. One, it exposes most of the tension to your biceps at the lengthened position, which is completely the opposite of a standing curl, and actually scientifically just much more optimal. And the second thing it does is it puts the biceps in a profound stretch under that deep tension. Two different things, because if you think about it, if I'm right here and I curl literally like this, like as people are seeing me do this now, hopefully they see in the video. If it's just the audio, hey guys, pretend I'm just, I don't know, pretend in your head. If I'm doing here, technically my bicep isn't lengthened here. Isn't stretched here. It's lengthened, but not stretched. It's not stretched because the bicep flexes at the shoulder joint too. However, maximum force at the lengthened position, no force at the short position, because gravity is pointing directly orthogonally here. This is the lengthened position. If I was to pull back on this joint and get my arm all the way back here, now it's the stretched position and the lengthened tension. Milo Wolf, who's my go-to guy on all things range of motion and science, basically said there's recently a paper that actually compared those two conditions, stretch plus lengthened versus just lengthened, and they did roughly similar numbers as far as hypertrophy was concerned. And to me, that was kind of encouraging, and it pointed to me the direction that we already know theoretically and from practical experience that stretching itself is hypertrophic, but not big H hypertrophic, small H hypertrophic. It's not a huge yield, but positioning your muscle into the lengthened portion, because there's a difference between lengthened and stretched. Like if you squat almost all the way down in a squat just below parallel, your muscles are lengthened, but they're not stretched. You don't feel your quad stretching as you sit down. Turns out the lengthened position is really hypertrophic. So with the lying bicep curl, I get both. And the dude has blown me the fuck away. I use 25-pound dumbbells, and the shit nukes me. I did 3 sets of 15. I'm literally sore right now, and I did this shit days ago. It's wacky, and it's the first time, again, I said I ever have repeat bicep DOMs, and I'm honestly kind of like not upset, but kind of like scratching my head as to why I did standing curls for so long. And there's nothing wrong with standing curls, standing barbell curls, dumbbell curls, cable curls, but the force curve is backwards to what you ideally would need it. So for those folks listening, in your training, try some lengthened bicep work, try some lying dumbbell curls, try to, some shit that stretches your bicep out, because just like stiff-legged deadlifts and a really insanely positioned seated leg curl machine, not just put tension on your hams, but stretch them. That's what this does. And it's a revelation. And it is like, Jared saw, we just did a video for this with Jared and I trained together. Jared pointed out to me, I got stretch marks in my biceps on video. Like it started with nothing. And he said, every rep I did, the shit got more pink, and then red. And I was like, holy fuck. He's like, I literally just watched that happen, because the pump is out of this world. And I didn't know this level of training existed, because I was never out of the box thinking enough to try this. And I could have surmised this would have been a good way to train, but one of the things that kept me from doing it is this bullshit mentality I'm ingrained in me that I'm trying to get rid of. And it's just fucking do the basics, brother, fucking hardcore, full range of motion, like dope. Those are all dope things, but you can do better than just the basics. As an advanced lifter, think about it a little bit and expand your mind to the exercise you can do. And look, listen, some of them look goofy and some of them suck and they don't work that well, but you'll find a few gems if you're a little bit more open-minded. That's more advice to myself than to anyone else. So that's what's been going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Line curls are like my favorite bicep exercise ever. I discovered them one of the old bodybuilding books from a long time ago, like maybe Joe Weider from like the ancients, and I started doing them. Yes. They're absolutely my favorite. But anyways, I really like what you were saying about retooling your exercise selection as you become more advanced, not just saying, hey, I'm just going to stick to barbell rows and back squats, and although those are great exercises, you will unlock a lot of nuanced opportunities by trying out other things, and particularly if you're able to apply science to that.
100%. And especially now with the new science of length and partials and stretch and hypertrophy, we can take a look at a lot of old exercises and really try to ask the question of like, how close to the science of optimization, at least in regard to stretch and tension and lengthen positions, how close is this? Like here, take the squat, for example. The squat at the bottom of the movement is the hardest. The vectors the most force into the quads that are the most stretched in the lengthened position. All right, the squat's great. Let's take another look at another classic exercise. The very high chair, 45-degree body angle, top end only, like most leg extension machines allow leg extension. Not just top end only. Most leg extensions machines won't stretch the quads much at the bottom. And the force is actually highest at the peak contraction, the requisite force to complete the rep. And it's kind of easy at the bottom and kind of hard at the top. Because you're also in a 90-degree position with your hip, the rec fem is insufficiency anyway. And like, is that a really great exercise? It could be for some people, for sure. And there's no good or bad movements, but you have to ask if it fails on the grounds of like stretch and length of position, properly moving the body to expose musculature. Maybe try another exercise that works a little bit better. And so for me, the classic exercises and new exercises are all candidates for the same level of analysis. And once you get done through the level of analysis of like what biomechanically should work best, that's not enough. You have to take it into the gym and try it yourself, because there are exercises that are biomechanically optimal that I'm just like, this sucks, I don't feel shit. And exercises that are biomechanically like meh, that are like, this is amazing. So for example, bent rows, barbell bent rows, they're not ideal from a biomechanical perspective because it's too hard at the top, not hard enough at the bottom. You have like a systemic fatigue component having to lean over, but my whole back gets blown to bits when I do high rep barbell bent rows. Explain that. Well, I can't explain that. Crap load of rhomboid involvement, crap load of stretch under tension at the bottom. The spinal erectors have to have an isometric component, and they get fucked up. Your whole back, use your whole lats, use everything. It's just a crazy psychotic pump, and that's how you put meat on your bones. So every exercise has to come with theoretical checklist of, am I doing the right thing? And then try it. And some exercises work, some don't. And of course, variation is a thing ultimately where the best exercise for biceps, the lying dumbbell curl, is dope until you've done it for like 8 months and you're like, fuck this, man, my elbows hurt, I hate this goddamn exercise. A couple months later, you can bring it back into the program, but there are many other good exercises to try in the interim.